Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw.
What's going on, guys? Just another critic here. Welcome back to the channel. We're continuing my college football Week 10 predictions with the Oregon Ducks taking on the USC Trojans. It's going to be a home game for USC at the Coliseum. And really, while USC has lost 3 games, they're just sitting at 4-1 in conference. And if they win out, they can potentially find themselves in the Pac-12 championship, potentially facing a rematch with Oregon. And so we'll see what happens. Still lots of games to be played. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Oregon right now, 7-1, 5-0 in conference. And a lot of people are starting to believe that they may even have a chance to find themselves in the college football playoff if they're able to win out and somehow they find a way to get in the favor of the college football playoff committee. And so we'll see. As long as they win out, they will continue to give themselves a chance. With that being said, for those of you betting on the game right now, Oregon is 4-4 against the spread. USC is also 4-4 against the spread. The number is sitting at 4.5 in favor of Oregon. Right now, the over-under is sitting at 62.5. And so quickly, we'll jump into the statistics and then go over my own personal thoughts. Right now, Oregon averaging 36 points per game, allowing 14 points per game. Offense is averaging 275 through the air and 190 on the ground. Defense allowing 207 through the air and 101 on the ground. USC, on the other hand, averaging 31 points per game, allowing 24 points per game. Offense is averaging 296 through the air and 146 on the ground. Defense allowing 239 through the air and 189 on the ground. Let's talk about Oregon very quickly. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about just how good this team was on both sides of the ball, offensively, and how they were top 10 on the defense, right? And then they ran into Washington and Washington State and got lit up for 31 and 35. And so I can't even lie. Even I was kind of buying into that narrative that they were pretty good on defense, but they ran into some better pass attacks as well as some better schemes, right, with Mike Leach and Coach Chris Peterson at Washington. While I do think Oregon has a lot of talent on that side of the ball, I think they're going to find themselves in a very similar situation versus USC this weekend. On offense, we know what they have. They have a lot of speed, especially at the running back position with CJ Verdell. And then obviously NFL talent as far as arm talent goes with Justin Herbert, along with one of the best offensive line units in the country. At the skill positions, you got some really good wide receivers and guys like Micah Pittman, Johnny Johnson, Juwan Johnson, who's finally getting healthier. So I think he's kind of been in and out of the starting lineup, but in a game like this, I'm sure he'll be on the field. Justin Herbert did lose his favorite target in Jacob Breeland, but I do think he'll be perfectly fine without him, especially with the weapons that they have on the outside as well as in the backfield, like we covered with CJ Verdell. Can't forget about Cyrus Habibi Likio, if that's how you pronounce his name. He's also given them some good production at the running back position. Jumping over to USC Trojan side, offensively, obviously they've gone through 3 separate quarterbacks this year, finally getting back to Caden Slovis at the number 2, finally came back healthy after the whole concussion protocol after that Utah game, and he's played very well. They've got some big-time weapons on the outside, from Michael Pittman to Amon-Ra St. Brown, as well as Tyler Vaughn. In the backfield, they're down to their third-string running back in Keenan Christian after losing Vai Malapai as well as Marquise Stepp. So it's really amazing how they've made it this far and played so well up until this point with all those injuries and just fighting through all that adversity. Looking on the other side of the ball, there's another list of injuries that we can go over with guys like Drake Jackson, who was one of their up-and-coming pass rushers this year, as well as Talanoa Huafunga, who is pretty much one of the best safeties in the Pac-12, if not the country. Then they've got one of their starting linebackers who's questionable to start this week, as well as a defensive lineman, Christian Rector. And then out at the DB position, cornerback, whatever you want to call it, Chris Steele, who is also questionable. So the defense, who was giving them a good amount of production and who was getting better as the season was going along, they will be missing some of their key guys in this matchup. And I think that's going to end up playing a big part as far as how well they're able to, rush the quarterback, disrupt Justin Herbert's timing, as well as without a guy like Talanoa Hufanga in coming down and being able to fill those gaps and stopping the run. It's just something he had a really good instinct for, and he did a really good job of. With all that being said, I think this is going to be a really fun game to watch. I'm excited to watch it. As far as how I believe this game is going to play out, I expect it to be nearly identical to a week ago when Oregon played Washington State. And the reason I say that, if you look at Graham Harrell's history, right? Guess where he played? At Texas Tech, under head coach Mike Leach. Mike Leach, who is now at Washington State, running the same scheme, which really Oregon Ducks had trouble with. And so Graham Harrell now taking over at USC offensive coordinator, I think he isn't going to want to try and do anything different. I think he's going to want to take on Oregon in a very similar fashion. And I expect it to be a shootout because right now, like I talked about, with all the injuries that USC has on defense, I don't think they're really going to be able to slow down Oregon on a consistent basis. Right now, I can't decisively say who I believe is going to win, right, with full-on confidence. But because USC is playing at home and because of how well they typically play at home, I am going to lean towards USC in this one. Right now, my final, USC wins 34-31. Once again, my final for this game, the USC Trojans win at home 34-31 and upset the number 7 Oregon Ducks. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for listening. Keep an eye out for my other matchups that I'll be covering for Week 10, as well as my upset alerts that have been hitting and have been on a hot streak. So, like I said, appreciate all the support. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, stay prepared for the up and downs. Life is like a seesaw. Some say it's a bitch, man. I could've